Thursday, April 23rd, and today I want to talk to you about how our congregation intends to respond to the needs that we are seeing in our community during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic response. Many of us know the stories of family members or friends or community members who have lost their jobs, or who have had their hours cut, or who have lost wages during this time of stay-at-home orders or social distancing protocols. And we know the fears that many people have of whether they will be able to cover rent for another month. And if they do pay their rent, will they be able to pay their utility bills or their debt payments, or whether they'll be able to put food on the table for their kids. This is a time of great insecurity for many people. And despite the resources that are being offered through the federal government or through other community organizations, we know that these funds may not be sufficient or adequate for many, and that there are still going to be gaps in the needs that are going to leave people very vulnerable at this period of time. Now, as the church, as we know that these needs exist, we can go back and rely upon the stories of our faith that inform what is our vision and how it is that we are called upon to respond in these times. I point you all today to the book of Acts, Stories from the Early Church, chapter 4. Now, I'm going to share with you what some may call an idealized image of how the church responded to people in need, perhaps a vision that was never fully lived out, but it's still a vision that speaks to us today. Let me share this. It says that all the believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions was their own, but they shared everything they had. With great power, the apostles continued to testify to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and God's grace was so powerfully at work in them all that there were no needy persons among them. For from time to time, those who owned land or houses sold them, brought the money from the sales, and put it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to anyone who had need. Yes, may be idealized, and no, I'm not asking you to go out and to sell your homes today. But it is a vision that says for those of us that have resources, that we have a great responsibility to know that God's grace is active in our lives, and that we have the opportunity from that position of knowing the depths of God's grace to allow our gifts and our resources to become grace for others who are in need. That we can trust that the gifts that God has given us are not our own, but in fact, we can steward them in sharing them for the sake of people who need them today. In that spirit, our vision team has been wrestling in these last few weeks of how it is that our congregation can respond. And we've created a community response fund. It is our hope that this fund will be seeded with $10,000 that can be used and distributed to people who need a little bit of hope or a financial gift to get them through another month. Perhaps that's a small supplement of a rent payment, or the covering of a utility bill, or a small gift card to put a little extra food on the table. Something that will help support and bring just a little bit of a measure of stability to people's lives today, and a way for those of us that have funds that we would like to offer to safely, securely, and confidentially share those resources for people who are in need. Now, yes, with this type of generosity and this type of money comes great responsibility in how to distribute it. And so our vision team has created a response fund team, and we've named 5 people to that team from our congregation. Sue Burke, Nancy Henning, Marianne Law, Marianne McKenzie, and myself will serve on that team. And we've already been at work over these last 3 weeks creating a policy, revising it, and running it by the vision team and getting their revisions and approvals. We are now ready to share that policy with you if you would like to see it. We intend to be fully transparent. And so if you want to know how it is that we are going to work our application process and how it is we will make determinations of who receives funding and at what levels, that we are happy to share those documents with you and be fully transparent. And we want you to know that that response fund team will continue to be the team that is responsible for the distribution of funds in the future. Now, all of these people that have been involved in this process, they have already made their own financial commitments. And I am proud to announce, and actually humbled to announce, that these teams have already raised $5,125, half of our goal they have already put on the table, to be able to stand behind the policies and work that they have put into place. And it is our hope that you as a congregation will see that generosity, see the transparency of our policy work, and to be able to say we are willing to step up and raise the other half, and to be able to make sure that we have this fund fully funded with $10,000 ready to respond. We already know just yesterday we gave our first gift of $250 to someone we knew who was in need. And we know that there will be more needs that will need to be offered in these days ahead. And so we're asking for your commitments of your generosity. At the bottom of the email in which you are getting this video is a link to a commitment form. You can offer a certain dollar amount in 3 different ways. You can say that these funds are ready to be donated today, and we can work with you to ensure that whether that's through sending a check to the church or making an online payment, that you are able to make that contribution. You can also say that those funds I would like to commit and that I promise to get them to the church by the end of the month. We know that everyone may be waiting on their own economic impact payment from the federal government or for another source of income, and that if you would like to wait to make your commitment, that is okay. If you would like to make a commitment for later in the year, of which we believe that we will still need funds, that is okay too. And you can say, you know what, I will make my payment, but it will be sometime in June or later. You can indicate that on the form that you will fill out at the bottom, together with the dollar amount you would like to commit. And then again, like I said, we will walk with you and help make sure that whether it's a check or an online payment, that you can make that contribution today. Oh, it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to put a fund like this into place, but it's also a lot in knowing the weight of the need that we are going to see in these months ahead. And it is with great trust that I am so thankful to be able to serve in a congregation that takes their mission seriously, that knows that when we say that we are committed to love, live, and yes, give like Jesus, that we will stand behind that mission and that we will do it. That our core value of abundant generosity will be put on display, that we will live that out authentically so that all people may have a chance to experience God's vision, which is hope and purpose for all. Thank you for how it is that you live with great trust and faith in God's grace in these days. And thank you for your own abundant generosity in responding to the needs of this time.